And it's once again one of those special moments where I get to just do a product overview of an MVP that we recently built for a client, which is quite cool. We've been very stimulated and fortunate enough to have a lot of exposure in the agricultural sector. We've bought a couple of cool farm managers. Our AJ model and Swarm has done tremendously well within the predictability and market analysis for agricultural sectors. And I'm talking about systems for smaller farmers in terms of just, their farm and their operations, systems for mega farmers that runs complex systems. And what is an MVP and what's the idea about this? So MVP is just a minimum viable product. See it as your own app, your own solution, whatever. Don't get stuck on the term of MVP. But in essence, clients come to us with an excessive overuse of subscriptions and tools that's all over the places, and it becomes difficult for them to keep track of what's happening where, but also it's difficult for them to consolidate everything into one product. And because that's difficult, it's difficult to scale, to give access to other people's users and things like that. So that's usually the first problem. But during our discovery calls, we ask people like, okay, let's go through a discovery system and let's see what other problems your business from an operational point of view, from a systems point of view, from a processor system point of view, and automation point of view, do you actually struggle with that? While we build this MVP, we can actually just resolve those issues as well. Together with that, the first thing is directors, managers, executives are your key level people that's busy with a lot of admin that shouldn't be busy with that admin, but it's just always been like that. And as the company scales and grows, or as you want to take leave or exit from that company, there's usually an overwhelm with that. Internally, we've got a thing that we say, if a task is repeatable, it shouldn't be your work. It should be completely automated. So I've been very blessed with that. So that being said, every time we showcase an MVP, you as a viewer might think, oh, these elements are cool, but generally speaking, that this is not going to be working for you or your company or your farm, or maybe not in agriculture, but in logistics management or anything like that. The point that I want to make is these MVPs are custom built for clients, meaning it checks all the boxes for that client, all their processes. It's not a foreign new tool. It's not a plug and play that you can download and it just uses in your company. It needs to be 100% customized, makes logical sense, and implementable in your company. So when you look at these type of things, look at it from a point of view where you think that this is not you and your company, you're viewing that as those clients. So these are obviously product builds that we've handed over. The client's very happy. We get consent to just showcase a couple of cool features that doesn't go in depth in their private intellectual property, like their pricing or anything. And here and there's some general data that they sign and say, cool, you can show this. So the idea is just to show you what can be done. But what can be done is exactly what you want it to be done. Whether it's time management, productivity, whether it's integrating all the tools, whether it's innovation like new product build, whether it's customer success, anything. Speak to us and let's help you out. So I'm going to show you something that we built for a cattle farmer in South Africa. This is a South African product. The previous one was also a South African client. So it's very relevant to here. So the terminology, if you're watching this from Australia, from America, might be completely different. Now, T's and C's, I'm not an agricultural person. There's a lot of things that you might see terminology and you might wonder, wow, how did they do this or whatever. We work with an extended team on various things. We work with the client to understand certain terminology or use cases or usages. So the things that I mention or give a name might have a separate meaning or a different kind of like intent in your business. And I apologize for that because I'm not in agriculture. I'm in MVP development, process development, company automation, and making companies very flippin' cool. So I want to show you guys something that we built here today. I'm going to go ahead with my layout. I'm going to share my screen and let's go ahead and show this. So this is Kraal, which Bonsmara OS. It's an operating system for especially a cattle farmer, especially with Bonsmaras, but they do have other things as well, and we've got a separate leg with that. I'm not going to show you exactly, but how cool is this? Now our client has got their own MVP to manage a couple of aspects of their business and integrate that entirely with their workflows, with their automation, with their finances and everything like that. So I'm just going to go through a very fast product overview of something cool that we built. I love things like that. So the first one is when you look at here, what are you looking at? So you can see on the left-hand side, you can view this. They've got logins for the owner, for the manager, for the worker, for their vet, and for their auction buyers, each with their different kind of views. That's how they wanted it. Your system logic might look completely different. But viewing this as an owner, the first thing that I want to talk about is, what is a dashboard? What is this dashboard? Now, this dashboard is the morning coffee screen. In 10 seconds, you see whether the farm is healthy today, what needs your attention, and where the money is going. You open this up, you don't have to open up all the tabs, and it's here because it's integrated with live data. So here you can see there's a active head count. There's the number of camps that they brought into the system. You've got their weather, their next sale, which is the auction that's coming up, a couple of tasks for today and tomorrow. So they really wanted to condense. They didn't want to view the entire month, although later on here is a connector to view the entire month. They've got their alerts. For example, in this test, we did one withdrawal alert that tells you there's a specific cow that was taken out because of whatever reason. So it's taken out of the sale and slaughter equation. There's attention on inventory shortfall, running the inventory logistics, and adaptive weather, adaptive planning that allows you to plan your business while reading real-time weather data in advance so that you don't always have to think about that. And then a couple of just things like the herd valuation, the cost this month, and the feed runway that is left with that. So what lives in this dashboard is obviously the welcome header with today's date, your herd headline with the total heads split by class, which is bulls, cows, heifers, steers, and calves. There's the today's attention cards. That's got your overview tasks, your low stock items, animals due for vaccination, compliance risks, and it obviously has quick links into every single other model. And that's what you want from a dashboard point of view, or at least this is what this client wanted, and it looks absolutely amazing. Then we've got the next section, which is the herd and animals. You can see a couple of things here. First of all, you can import all your previous things from CSV, Google, Excel, Sheets, everything like that. Just import this data so you don't need to start from scratch. They obviously have got their RFID wand integrator into the system. So with the scan, with the taps, we can live sync all of that data. And then obviously from the system moving forward, you can just add animal here that will have your tag available, your brand, your name, if there's the sex, obviously the breed, weight, date of birth, camp, if they're assigned to a specific camp for that day or for as you assign them, because obviously you can redistribute from there. And if you want to assign them to a herd, this is on the logic of that client. A couple of things that live here. Obviously, there's a table of every animal with ear tags, with class, bull, cow, heifer, steer, calf, their sex, birth date, dam and sire, current camp, last weight, status, whether it's active, whether it's sold, whether it's dead, whether it's cold. So you keep a comprehensive task or spreadsheet on everything. So even if they're not with you anymore, whether you called them, anything, so you have historic data to monitor trend lines and just run your business more, you're far more from a business point of view, right? You can obviously put all the filters in here, search for things by tag, name, breed, look at, put the active filter, look at the sexes, look at the camps, look at the herds, the quality. You can click on anyone and you have their details. You can look at their profile, their EBVs, their weaning, the yearling material, lineage. You can track all their lineage, and then the life, obviously, as well. So everything is quite cool with that. All the filters are there, and then the herd assignment, which breeding herd or trading group each animal belongs to. So I'm really excited for this client. They're very excited for this. Up next, we've got our health and breeding. Now, what is this? One calendar for vet, dip, breeding. Anything that goes into or comes out of an animal is exactly monitored here. Or a bull to cow event, that everything lives here. So you can look at exactly here. There's your date, there's a type, the product that needs to be applied, where it needs to be applied to, what's the dose and the batch number to follow batches. Look at the head count, the WDL, the cost for everything. That's the general health. I can look at the breeding. I can log breeding events right here and keep track of that. I can obviously look at the ways, look at the scheduling. If there's anything scheduled from there, pull that straight into my calendar and move from there. So I love this. This is actually very, very cool. You can even log your health event separately, whether it's a treatment, vaccine, And what's great is I can apply that, or this customer can apply that to the whole camp or to single out single animals within a camp to do that. So you don't need to do that. You can type in the batch numbers of everything so that you can follow on a compliance and quality management, your QMS systems, everything in here, which helps so exactly with that. So that's, yeah, I thought that's very, very cool. Now, before we look at the feed and pastures, what it is, camp rotation control room and feed out log. In essence, right? We've got the camp rotations here. We can see where we want to put a camp on a rest for grazing, for pastures, anything to recover. We can see we can have a feed and lick log. We can do a feed stock that's pulling straight from my inventory. We can publish the real-time connectors right from there. So we can manage everything camp related from there. You've got your camp cards right here. Each camp shows head count. It shows the number of days on grazing. It shows the stocking density, and a green, amber, red overgrazing indicator that tells me, listen here, for quality assurance on everything, there's something that you need to consider. And there's obviously a one-click toggle between grazing and resting. So I can just put it on rest and that camp will be start and to rest, and I can put it on grazing and it will tell me that it's grazing there. Yeah, so I thought that was very cool. Can obviously check everything that's in here and update your systems. I can log a feed out completely there with my date, my camp, my head fed, put in my notes, save and feed out, and it will be exactly 100% there. So that's quite cool. The fifth is your operations. This is your task manager. We can look at it at a couple of views. This is integrated with your calendar, with your task manager tools. This becomes your task manager. You can look if everything is open, it's in progress, who it is assigned to. Is it assigned for certain employees, work staff? From this, it gets executed via WhatsApp because, once again, the staff works on WhatsApp. So any new task on this will just give it to them in a simplistic form on WhatsApp, which they can just reply yes or no, done, and it will adopt the entire sequence, which is quite cool because you're sitting with this comprehensive manager that still requires input from basic staff on the farm that's not always in the position to understand or have access to this technology. But the basic things that they have on this farm, for example, is WhatsApp, the same with the other farms. So we can incorporate that inside the system so it is natively integratable and acceptable for everybody. Here we can see as this is the farm's to-do list laid out as a friendly Kanban board, meaning I can literally just, start, stop, and done with it. I can drag and drop it and it will keep everything there. This helps me to follow KPIs, assignments, contractual agreements, effectivity, productivity, everything like that. There's 3 columns. They just wanted a basic. Usually in sales, we've got something like 10, 12, 15 deal stages. So that's going to be depending on how you configure yours. This is obviously open, in progress, and done. Each card has a title, a camp, assignee, due date, priority. And that's basically it. I usually say don't overcomplicate things, but don't be limited by basic functionality. Like if you need a more complex system to run your due diligence or your task or anything like that, then go for it. Just do it. Then obviously with this, they've got a lot of logistics and movement that they want to track. Certain movements, head counts, certificates, how many has certificates and everything like that. So we can see exactly how everything moves from what camp to what camp or what town or whatever. We can log the certificate with that. We can log the vehicle registration, the driver, the head count, everything. This is great if you obviously moving to slaughterhouses, if you're moving to auctions, everything. So keep a complete log of that, where your assets and everything is moving from insurance type, from quality insurance, from disease control, everything like that. And this is amazing. So what lives in this space, obviously this is published time to do. So PDF removal certificate generation with brand marks, SAP stock theft unit auto notification. So every movement, date, route from camp farm to what camp farm or buyer, head count, vehicle registration, driver, removal certificate. Rows without a removal certificate are actually flagged red, and that's a Stock Theft Act compliance risk for this specific cattle farm that they wanted to include. And obviously you can filter everything out by range and destination. So it's great to keep that in track, especially for compliance, and look at auto theft tags that you want to do, especially if you've got a larger operation, for example, like this. Up next, we've got the inventory cost, because obviously the system needed to take over everything from the inventory, and there's their products and showcases. So this is basically the store room ledger. From feed, lick, vet, medicine, fuel, spares, everything lives here. Every item by name, by category, by quantity on hand, unit cost, total value, reorder value. Now, this is push pull. So, for example, when you get started, you pull from your CSV or your Sage or whatever accounting software you're using. You pull this into this. You don't need to let go from the others. You can literally just, as you make changes here, it auto adjusts everywhere. So you can just work from there. If your finance department works not on this, but on a separate item, whenever they make changes there, it will automatically go from here. For this client specifically, we integrated low stock alert badges when quantity drops below a reorder value. And we've got to adjust workflow for receiving new stock, goods in, or issuing stock goods out with reason, and then rolling total inventory value at the top. So you can see, for example, here's a couple of items that we just put in there. There's a category, so you can put in your own categories. And then if I need to add items, I can do that there and put in the reorder value. So the initial setup, that's where we come in, takes some time, but thereafter it's just super fun to do. Now, obviously, they do a lot of auctions. They arrange auctions themselves, but they also go and visit a couple of auctions. So they do have an auctions page, which is now very basic. In here, I can click on it and get more details on that. But in essence, if I put in a new sale, I can put everything here, the payment terms, the auctioneer, the venue, everything like that. If you have a complex system, you can do that. But what this is an on-farm production sales. Build the catalog, take bids, invoice buyers, everything can run from here. Every auction, date, name, status, whether it's drafted, whether it's live, whether it's closed, the number of lots, the total realized, click through to a detail page per auction, everything lives here. So the entire auction management is now live here, which is amazing view. And there's also a very detailed log. A lot catalog with the animals in each lot, reserve prices, current top bids, registered buyers list is included in here, bids as they come in, invoices generated after close, paid versus outstanding. So it's an automatic invoice calculator for them exactly for that. So now they can run, from the farm to the logistics to the auctions, running their auctions, everything into one platform, have all the connectors in place and just how cool is this? I love things like this. It's amazing to bring everything together. And then obviously compliance. What lives here is everything compliance related. Live scorecard for legal, for operational obligations. Green is obviously marked as compliant. Amber for review and red act now. What lives here is we've got 6 metrics, each with a one-click link to the module that fixes it. So here's before, for example, before a build. Animal Identification Act, every animal has a registered brand and ear tag. Stock Theft Act, every movement has removal certificate. Vaccination adherence, no animal is overdue on its schedule. Medicine withdrawal, no treated animal is being sold inside the withdrawal window. That's what we're looking for. Looking at brand register, brands on file and up to date. Farm records, completeness, mandatory registers, fields filled, everything like that, which is very amazing. So you can see a couple of things here that I can open up to just go more into the details thereof. So I love this. We love to see the compliance score for the farm, how many things are compliant, how many warnings there are to filter that out, and failings. And with a one click, they can just actually go and fix it. It will pull the connector, instruct them with AI how to fix them. It pulls out our AJ and our swarm to give them a complete step of guide on what it can fix on itself. It will. So that admin is no longer your admin or their admin, which is pretty amazing. So it will tell you that the publish time is to do. It's exportable completely in PDF with the audit reports. It's got a state vet auto notification. It's got on support brand renewal reminder. So everything is there from a compliance point of view. Then obviously they wanted to bring in their finances. This directly links to their Sage. They work with Sage. So one-click connector setup. So whether you generate invoices or expenses or anything from here, all there it's push-pull. So it works on both ends. They just wanted easier filters like last 30 days, 90 days, year to date, last 12 months, and obviously being able to export to CSV. Their system actually links directly to their bookkeeper or their auditor, and they can just link directly into the system. They don't need to send everything manually. So what this is this is a board level financial view. Where is the money and how efficiently are we making it? What lives here is a period toggle that I showed. We've got herd valuation. which is very important for them, by animal, by class, using the latest weights times the market rand per kg, which is lively connected for that, so they never have to guess what's the latest prices. It is there so that they know in real time how the business is doing. Looking at auction revenue, cost per kg gain, winner economics versus SAMIC style benchmarks, inventory value with low stock warning, CSV exports, all those type of things. So these are all the data. We look at the auction settlements, the winner economics, and here is their real-time connectors. Obviously, Xero, Payfast, Sage, QuickBooks, but also SRRB, which is your market feed, Payable, SARS, VAT, Payfast, Xero, everything connected here. And I think, yeah, that's basically. And the last thing that I want to show is for their system. And each system would look differently. It will all depend on what you want to integrate. But for this system to work, these are the type of things that they're connected into. And maybe I'll explain some of them. But accounting, they've got QuickBooks, Sage, and Xero. So some of them might have 2 or 3 availabilities based on what type of, which sector of the business. You might just have one. You might have a different one that you want to integrate, but this is how their setup logic works. With AI, currently we build AJ and Swarm, which is their predictive analytics that reads all the future indicators for them to help them steward. I think we mentioned a lot more actually in the system that we built for the farm in Limpopo, where it explains more. And we've got a separate video on AJ and Swarm, but they brought that in to actually tell their business, listen here, there's a wall there that establishes this or impacts this feed prices, and this is going to affect you in 3-4 months time. So your slaughter date is in 5 months time. So maybe you want to make it whatever. So it just helps you to work with valuable, vetted, validated data and market affairs so that you farm more profitable at the end of the day, right? So they've got Claude Anthropic. Auctions, they've got Swift V that's integrated with this. Their communications, we've got Clickatel for them, Twilio and WhatsApp Business. Finance connectors, they've got the USD-ZIR FX, which is a live FX for cost forecasting that's integrated. Maps for the camp deployment, we brought in Google Maps, but also Mapbox that can help with alterating the graze and pasture health of each camp. That's why we use them. For payments with their auctions, they wanted to automate payment options out there. They integrated Ozo, Payfast, Stripe, and Yoko. Stripe is, well, it's actually not Stripe. It's actually Stitch from Stripe. Stripe is more USA-based market. But yeah, we just built on their logic, which got some limitations in South Africa. It's worth mentioning. Performance, the connectors that they have is SA Studbook, Logix, and Integris, which looks at the pedigrees, the EBVs, the performance data sync, and everything like that. We obviously brought in the RFID and scales using Gallagher. They're using Gallagher and True Test Data Mars, which is Weigh Scale and Wand Import. And then Gallagher is obviously for Weigh Crush and EID Wands implementation right into the system. The vet and lab connector that they have is Onderspoort, and then obviously they got their local vet in this as well to check first of all, but they can also trigger and caution per camp, per herd, per breed, per cow, per animal, however they want to, and store all of that. And then the weather, we've got Open Meteo, which is actually the best, I'd say, model currently out there, which is a free weather forecast. There's no key involved with that. Others might create, keys with that. So this is basically it. That's the system. That's the latest build, I guess, that we're excited to share. Go check out our other agricultural builds, but also go check out what we're building with AJ, what we're building with Swarm, and think about your business. Just think about what you want to do cool things with. Don't be that owner that's stuck in this agentic era that is not smart about how you adopt these AI and process and deployment and everything in your business. We do cool things. We've got 3 main criteria. Number 1, our first promise is we will free up your time. Number 2 is we will solve your business problems. And number 3 is we will obviously create something that is scalable, meaning it will solve other people's problems inside your business so that you can run an operation of any size more productively, more efficiently, and more profitable at the end of the day. So once again, thank you for joining. It's lucky to see you here. Yeah, you'll see I'm not in the studio. We actually out with clients on a couple of MVPs, but I just figured once I delivered this today, I wanted to do a quick video while it's all fresh. So have a good one. Cheers.